Hey, good morning. It's great to be with you as always.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny, it's hard to believe. I had a story earlier today about the fact that we are coming up now on 3 years since COVID, and it wasn't long after that happened that you and I started talking. And I mean, as the job market is, it's something that everybody who's an adult needs to really be a part of if they're going to be productive. And so everything we talk about just keeps a fresh angle on it, and that's what I love about it. So why don't we get into this for today, Chris? You've covered lots and lots of parts of the job search for listeners here with us over time. One of the areas that's really interesting is this notion of improving or maximizing your online presence and also improving your personal brand. What should people bear in mind about those things?
Well, Pete, first of all, I can't believe it's been almost 3 years. I appreciate that. That's amazing. And you are right. There's been ups and downs, but one thing is consistent. Employees are always looking for betterment of their career, and employers are always looking for talent. It doesn't really matter. It goes on and on. But this topic, we're seeing more and more employers look at your social media and do a professional review or scan as a part of getting a job, of a part of getting an offer or onboarding. So in today's digital age, having a strong online presence and personal brand is really important to your job search and to how people view you. And that seems, when I talk about this, it seems really hard for everybody to kind of just deal with. Like, that's separate from me. Can I just get a job? But they're blended today. And gosh, we all know how technology kind of blends in with everything else. So why not how we're evaluated for work? So a couple of ideas, and please interject if you're curious about any of them or have any follow-up questions. But there's this thing called LinkedIn. There's an awful lot of people on it, but it's a really incredible business platform for building your professional network and showcasing your skills and experiences. It's like your resume, but a lot of people don't update it. It's not well written, and it doesn't reflect who they are. It's just a thing they do. Yeah. So you got to clean it up. Cleaning up your online presence, kind of a really big deal. But you got to do a scan of your social media and stuff. And,
right.
We all can make jokes of you don't want those college pictures up. But I think a lot of us, if we took a look, we want an employer to look at it. And then just other couple quick things. Using these networks to connect with other people, using these networks to participate in online discussions and forums, maybe even using them to seek out recommendations with people that know your background and skills. Maybe you work together with them as a vendor, or they were your boss, or what have you. And it builds a picture.
And you mentioned LinkedIn, and I'll say this about that. I think a lot of people who are listening are familiar, but for those that are not, that really it's a great resource. It hasn't gone the way of Facebook. There's still a level of professionalism there. And what I often see, Chris, is that when people put out appeals, if you will, saying, I'm actively searching, ... or I've lost my position and now I'm looking for my next opportunity, ... you really do tend to get responses from people. And, you never know who that person is. It's going to be that bridge to your next opportunity. So LinkedIn is definitely a great place to go and to network with all the people that reach out to you, and seeing people that could be advantage to you. You should be reaching out to them. That really is an excellent resource. And the cleaning up of the social media profile, you probably really don't want the potential new boss to see stuff that you did when you were in your younger days or not thinking clearly at a particular time or what have you. That's legit. You want to tackle that.
Yeah, I think that there's still a tremendous sensitivity to someone who's impacted, like laid off. And I have found that LinkedIn is an incredibly compassionate resource to connect folks. And, layoffs are still much less than they were, 3 years ago, but it still stings, and it's a powerful tool.
Yeah, certainly big hitters on there, too. So we're in a complex job market, and we've addressed this before. And now this idea of upskilling seems to be coming back in vogue. What is that exactly, and what role is it playing to help these current labor shortages in some industries and fields, Chris?
So it's been around forever. It's been called upskilling. It's been called reskilling. And it's the process of getting new skills or improving existing skills. And it's a way that all of us need to stay relevant in the workforce. The change and demand of the skills and things that we need to do our job just never, ever stops.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we've been talking about all along. So I think, fancy word, but one of the things that businesses are doing to close the current labor shortage, which is still ongoing, is they're looking at who they have. And they're saying, well, Chris doesn't know that skill, but let's get him in a class, or let's teach him how to do that, or let's get him a certification.
Right.
And I think it's really a powerful tool for retention. I've said this probably 5 times in 3 years, is the best way to recruit is to retain who you have. And you do that by showing people that there's a career path and that there's upside. So what's a little different, or what I wanted to point out, is don't count on your employer to do it. It's up to each of us to upskill, to reskill. And, I think that's such a significant point, and you've allowed me to share my opinion or my pulpit. We are so responsible for our own careers. And the next question we talk about is going to bring that to life, of course, with the length of our careers. But this is such a fundamental thing that you can't wait for somebody to develop you. But we are seeing the really best employers embrace this notion and close a labor gap, which is going to exist for, the foreseeable number of years.
Yeah, it certainly seems so. You mentioned the fact that there are longer careers. They're coming with longer lifespans for a lot of people. And along with talking about jobs, I spent a lot of time, frankly, over the past few years talking about financial planning and such with other speakers. And what people find themselves in some cases, is all the money they thought that they had stashed for their retirement years will not make the cut, because instead of living to 70, 75 years old, it's more of an 80, 85-year-old scenario. I guess when it comes to the workforce, what I'm asking is, will we be seeing careers now go to 50 or 60 years? And if that's the case, what do we all need to do to manage those careers?
Man, this is just so interesting. And I don't know if we're going to have people calling you upset or happy about this, But it wasn't that long ago, Pete, that it was a 30-year career.
Right.
And then we started to talk about, 30 years in the gold watch. And then it's 40 years. But now if you started your career in the last 10 years, you have to start to think about a 60-year career. Like you said, we're living longer. It's funny how jobs and financial planning all come together. But 3 points that I hope you'll comment on. Your career is going to be more like a lattice in the garden than a ladder. You're not climbing the career ladder. You're kind of moving sideways and diagonal. And you're going to have a lot of jobs and careers, maybe 7 to 10 different. You're going to take a lot of life breaks. You're going to be a caregiver. You're going to go back to school to learn. I wish I invented this idea, but I hear this concept of taking little mini retreats or little mini retirements in between things. And if you think about it, 60 years is an ultra marathon. That's not a sprint. Taking a month off to travel or take care of a loved one makes sense if you're going to work much longer.
Yeah.
And then, work is knowledge work. Skills and technologies change. We just talked about. I think people are going to go back to school formally and informally. And I just don't know if people are going to look to climb that corporate ladder like they have been. How many of us are going to go take a job because we want to make a difference, or we're going to work for less because we want to do something we love?
Yeah. And it raises a question, and I guess we'll see if employers take a second look or a different perspective of the older worker. I mean, there are urban legends out there that, you lose your job after 55 and good luck getting something that pays anything close to what you had. And if we are in this version of life where we're going to be living this much longer and there are needs in the workforce, that 60-year-old worker all of a sudden has a whole lot of value.
A sports star in Philly just said, win or learn.
Yeah.
And I think businesses are going to have to adapt this, because seniors are going to go work for places that allow them to keep working, but have programs to maybe work less. Mm-hmm. And by the way, guess who the fastest group of demographics that's re-entering the workforce? I'll just give you the answer. Seniors returning to their old employer. Wasn't that long ago, 2 years ago, I told you the fastest exiting group was seniors because of COVID.
Yeah.
Well, companies are getting smart, and they are recruiting seniors back because they don't have to retrain. They can start and be productive, and it's the fastest growing group re-entering the workforce.
It's amazing, Chris, or I should say, what COVID has done in terms of our values within the workplace. You know, the way people are now hesitant to maybe work a 5-day work week anymore, or they want to work from home. It has shaped in so many different ways the workforce of today and now into tomorrow. And without COVID, I don't think some of these things would have come about. And it's a really interesting kind of microcosm of life as a whole since 2020.
10 years of events in a concentrated, couple of year period. So all these ideas and theories and premises got tested and busted up, and some stuck around. My comment would be this, Pete. For a long time, there was this trend that the workforce is fully in charge. And now every article says, well, leaders are regaining control. I think the reality is it's got to be a bit more of an equilibrium. Yeah. It's really not about who's in charge. The long-term demographics suggest that employers are going to have to manage their own career, and that's not resumes and how do I interview. Mm-hmm. It's like you got to decide, and you're not going to stay with a company where they're going to be and manage your career in life. It's on you. And regardless of kind of these changes, I think that's the most important, I guess, philosophical point I want to make, is we got to help people gain the skills to know how to navigate, which is why a lot of these questions are about helping employees, working for somebody or not, kind of navigate, because that's what's missing in my boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff today, Chris. Chris Burkhard, Placer Staffing in Newark, joining us as he does on occasion to talk about the job market you find yourself in or the one you want to be a part of. Always a pleasure. I hope you have a good weekend. We'll talk again soon, okay?
See you next month.
All right. Thanks, Chris. 9:50 here on AM 1150, 101.7 FM, and WDEL.com.